Hello and welcome to Real Watchers Movie Club. My name is Garrett.
And my name is Kevin.
And we are your hosts. Movie Club is the show where we pick a movie and discuss it every week, just like a book club. On today's show, we are covering the drama from Iran, Close Up. Our thoughts and more coming up on Movie Club. Released in 1990, Close Up was directed by Abbas Kiarostami and stars Hossein Sabzian, Manocher Ahanka, and Marok Ahanka. Sorry if there's any mispronunciation of those names. The true story of Hossein Sabzian, a cinephile who impersonated the director Mohsen Makhmalbaf to convince a family they would star in his so-called new film. It currently has a 4.4 out of 5 on Letterboxd and is ranked number 46 on its top 250. Before we dive into our thoughts, though, we do want to issue a spoiler warning for the film. We're going to be talking about everything that happens over the course of this movie, and there's some really interesting stuff that does happen in it. So if you haven't seen the film yet, make sure you watch the film first so we don't spoil it for you. But stay tuned to the end of the show to find out what movie we're covering next week, because it's a complete tonal shift. Alrighty, Kevin, Close Up this week was my pick, and I picked this because simply it's very high up on Letterboxd's top 250. Kiarostami is also a director I've heard endlessly talked about in film circles, and a lot of his films have been mentioned on the Letterboxd, like, what's your 4 favorite stuff. So I was very excited to check out this one, especially since this has a lot to do with movies themselves. Obviously, circling around the fact that it's being about a director and who's being impersonated and about filmmaking. So there's a lot going on here. And so I was really excited to watch it. Had you heard about this at all?
No, I haven't heard about this movie at all, but very interested on movies that I haven't heard of because sometimes they surprise me. So I like doing this top 250 because of that reason. So
well, there you go. But let's go ahead and dive into Close Up. So general thoughts before we get into spoilers. What did you think about the movie without delving too deep just yet?
Without diving too deep in it, I couldn't determine, my brain or me personally could not determine if this wanted to be like a documentary or a movie. So it was very confusing to me in some points of this movie where it switches from the courtroom scene to an actual movie. And I wish it would have maybe stayed on one path about it. But I did like all the characters, and having the real life people play themselves is very, very interesting as well.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and discuss maybe a little bit of your trepidation a little bit here. I think at first I was kind of watching this movie and I was like, okay, I don't really see what people are talking about, but I'm going to keep giving this a chance. And then at the end of this movie is where it all clicked for me. And we'll discuss that when we get into it. But that made me really enjoy the film more. And I think it's something where on rewatches of this film, I can see the score going up for sure. But I think that's on rewatches, and whenever I get the chance to actually do that, who knows?
Who knows?
But let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper. Spoiler warnings out the window. So we're just going to throw it out here. I want to talk about you because you mentioned that the film, obviously, it swaps between documentary and recreation.
Yeah,
and the recreation of the events, like you said, does star the people who actually did these things in real life.
Yeah.
Which I think is an inspired touch. But I think there's something, at least in the way that I interpret this movie, I feel like you're kind of missing a little something there.
Yeah, I don't know if it was maybe the quality of the when they used the real people in the courtroom. The quality of the camera looked like it was shot like horribly from like a documentary. And I'm not saying that it's horrible, like this movie is unwatchable, but it got me out of the movie aspect of it, because before that you're learning about this person, even when they're doing like the interviews for like the news, when we get to meet the news person that's writing the story about everything. Really interested in that as well. And then the court case does get a lot better throughout the whole thing. But it took the first time you did it, it really took me out of it. I'm like, it's not as crisp as I would like it, maybe. And that made me think, is like, do I want, that's what I was like, does it need to be a documentary, or does it need to be like a full-fledged film? And it's kind of lost me there a little bit, but then it picks back up for me at the very end, like you said.
Sure, but I think that the style, like what you're talking about, is on purpose.
Okay.
And I want to explore this just a little bit because I find this movie very fascinating. So what would you say? And I'm trying to get you to feed into what I'm saying here. What do you think Sabzian, the character who's impersonating Makhmabov, what do you think he's doing to the family, whether intentionally or not? What is he doing to the family?
I kind of feel like he wants to prove himself to people. So he wants to prove himself, even though he's not.
Sure.
He's not like the film artist that he says he is, but he has a passion for it. And
so, yeah, but how is he doing that?
How? He's doing it by trying to impersonate somebody.
Which another word for that whole situation is
like a scandal, pretty much.
No. He's manipulating them.
Okay. Yeah, right. He is manipulating.
Whether intentionally or not.
Yeah.
That same thing is what Kiarostami is doing to you. So Kiarostami is manipulating you as the viewer. So by early on showing us the recreation footage, like you said, it's crisper, it's cleaner, it's more like a film. And then showing us the documentary footage, which is grittier and less pretty, but it looks like it's, it's like actually in the court. You feel like you have a good handle on what's reality and what isn't.
Okay.
Right?
I can see that, yep.
And then when you get to the end of the movie and Sabzian is let out of the court or the jail or whatever, it goes back to a little bit of that documentary style footage where Kiarostami is shooting from the car.
Yep.
But what happens to Sabzian?
He gets on the bike with the director.
The real Makhmabov. But it's being shot like a documentary. But we don't know if that happened or not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay.
There are no notes out there in any interview. No one has said that actually happened. Yet it's shot like the documentary footage. So it's an interesting manipulation that Kiarostami is doing to you. And that's I think one of the things that I really like, because film, one of the things that it can do and one of the things that documentaries can do is manipulate, right? And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, there can be some manipulation, right? Like it can make you think that it can make you think things, it can make you do things, sure. But film can do it in a way where it's telling a more unique story, right? It manipulates you, makes you think it's going one direction and takes you in another. Or like a twist. A twist is a manipulation of your expectations, right? So movies are a exercise in manipulation. Some of them are. Now, in this one, it's a manipulation of what you accept to be reality. Okay. And in a way, it's the same thing as what Sabzian is going through. Because at first, yes, it's an innocent lie. Oh, are you the author of this movie? Yeah, that's me. And then it just keeps going.
Yeah.
And he has to keep coming up with new things.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's really fascinating to me on one hand, is because it is an overt study of the manipulation that filmmakers exert on the audience.
Okay.
That's the first thing for me. The second thing for me is, which I think that's the one that most film students and most of the people you're seeing give this glowing reviews are really looking into. Okay. The other thing that I see is something that's a lot more human and something that's a lot more universal. And that is, we all lie. We all lie. I mean, whether or not it doesn't make us a bad person. We just, we all lie, whether it's for the comfort of the other person, or it's for to protect them or to protect yourself or whatever, right?
Hmm.
This is someone getting caught up in a lie that was initially harmless, and it spirals out of control, and they don't do the right thing. They continue to go along with it instead of saying, "Oh, I was lying. I don't know why I said that." Like, it could have been easy to come clean,
Hmm. Hmm.
yet he didn't. And
Yeah.
and he was, and there is question of his character, right? Are you doing this to rob them? Are you doing this
Yeah.
to get close to them? Whatever. And no, he didn't, and he's expressly said it throughout the entire film. That was not my goal.
Yeah.
It was just a lie that snowballed, and to be honest, it was just nice to have the attention because people weren't
Hmm.
paying attention to me, and that is so human.
Yeah.
And as someone who struggles with loneliness and depression, and I guess you could say feelings of uselessness, right? That hits really close to home. And like, and not that I would do this kind of thing. I don't think anyone would outright do it, but we've all been caught in a little lie like that before. And so I think that is just one of the most remarkably human parts of this whole movie that brings it down to a personal level.
It does, yeah, and I can see it. And throughout the whole movie, he's saying that he wasn't going to rob them or anything like that. So I think he had intentions of trying to be like in a he want. I feel like he wants to be a filmmaker, but didn't know where to like get his foot in or anything like that. So he decided to lie about it, and then, like you said, it just goes spiraling out of control after that, unfortunately. But he never has any sinister thoughts about anything, which I think is really good. It doesn't make him look like the bad guy, even though he is the bad guy, but he's more human in that aspect of being the bad guy because, like you said, he just wants. I don't want to. Yeah, he wants attention, but he just wants to be seen in a way because he hasn't had that being seen, like, to just for him talking to people and just getting to know people, that can be being seen as to somebody, and that's what he feels like in this movie. It is what I got from it as well.
Hmm. Definitely, he's not a bad person.
No,
And
I
it's
don't think he's a bad person at all during this whole entire movie. He felt more human in this movie because of what he did, even though his lies, again, yeah, lying is horrible, but it spiraled out of control. He couldn't contain it, but he was trying to because he wanted to feel the way he did when they first asked him, "Oh, this looks like you," when they're on the bus. This looks like you. Is this you? Stuff like that. So I can see it. It's not he's not a super villain. He's just a normal guy trying to, I don't want to say be loved, but just be seen.
Yeah, it's like me going on a train and someone confusing me with a film director and me going, "Yeah, that was me."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, which, I mean, we've all had those. I've certainly had those moments, like during COVID, like right at the beginning. You'd be talking to people and they're like, "Oh, I don't believe the CDC or whatever." I had those moments where I was like, "Yeah, I know someone who works for the CDC, and you're an idiot." Right?
Yeah.
Like, I've had those. It's not true, but like, you have those moments where you want to go along something, A, because it can get you more attention, but B, it can also just like make you seem like more than what you are.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that it is a profoundly human thing,
Yeah.
and I really love, any other movie, especially you know ones that deal with true crime or similar events like this. It doesn't go well for the person who's
No.
accused, right? And I really like how this everything worked out in the end for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like what the guy was down a couple $1,000s or whatever. I don't know if he had to pay that back. I don't remember. But
Yeah.
like, the family was like, "No, we forgive him. It's fine. We'll drop the charges."
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
everyone was like, because he explained himself. And then he, like, with the director, with the real Makhmaboff, he goes back and apologizes to the family and brings them a gift, which I believe is a flower of some sort,
Flowers. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
which is fantastic. And the shot of them on the bike together is, I think, one of my favorite shots
Yeah,
ever.
and I also like how the audio cuts in and out as well because it feels like that documentary style filming that we were talking about
Yeah.
before cuts in and out and everything like that. And you know what? They could have might have said something in those cuts in and out. We'll never know. And again, like we never know if that actually happened in the true story. But yeah, I love that shot at the end though, where they're just in front of the house where everything started, and he's asking for their forgiveness and everything, and then the director's just right behind them, trying to, I don't want to say encouraging him, but saying like, hey, I know what you did, but let's go say sorry. And because he bring the main character rings the doorbell first, and then they don't open the door for them, or they don't come out for the main character, but then the director rings the doorbell and then they come out for him because they're still not trusting of I forget his name, it starts with a Z.
Sabzian.
Sabzian, yeah, they still don't trust him. They're totally normal. Why would you trust them? But I like how the director and them went to the house, and it's a beautiful shot at the end. It's a perfect, not perfect end to the movie, but really good end to a movie.
Yeah, the whole ending is truly fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, so this one's a little bit different because this one is a lot more of a documentary style, so there's not really a whole lot to talk about in terms of like cinematography or music or anything. Mm-hmm. It's more so the style and what the director is trying to say. So forgive us if it's a little short this week, but this was my pick this week, so I'll go ahead and give my thoughts first here. I think this movie is really great. I think it's this really this profound experiment on manipulation, not only that directors have over audiences, but just manipulation that we have over each other. But also, I love that this is a profoundly human film and showing us, you know, not necessarily a bad thing, but not like the worst thing, and forgiveness and mistakes being rectified. And I think it's just a profoundly wonderful human film that is someone that I think is going to get even better the more I rewatch it. I can definitely see why it's high up on the list and like why it's there. I just need to watch it a couple more times to see if I can get it there myself. Mm-hmm. But for me, I gave it an 89 out of 100. You know, I didn't love it this first time, but I know that I'm going to, and I think that's why I'm going to hold it back a little bit, give it that 89, because then it's going to ratchet up a little bit. So it was an 89 or 4 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah. So same thing to go along with you. I absolutely love. I really enjoyed this movie. First one from this director as well. So hopefully he can either improve on it, or you know, some other people when I was looking up online said this is his best film, but he has other great films as well that hopefully we take a look at during this our top 250. But and I actually can't wait to see and compare the different styles that he can do with this documentary and see what else other genres he can get into, because I did really enjoy it. Just got a little bit foggy on the documentary side to cinematic side for me, but again, it could always go up if I want to watch it again because of that human aspect of he did something wrong, it snowballed, but everybody forgave him at the end, and that's what I really like. They forgave him even because they're human as well. And so I gave it a 77 out of 100, which is 3.5 stars out of 5. But I can definitely see it be going up if I watch it again momentarily.
Well, there you go. So the question now falls to you. What do you think of Close Up? We'd love to hear what you have to say down in the comment section down below. But remember to be respectful of one another. And, you know, because forgiveness is key. Next week, I'm very excited. We're going to be covering the classic comedy Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Make sure to watch before next week so you are not spoiled. But that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Of course, this goes live every single Friday at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we do have our live stream that goes live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we talk about movie news, reviews, and so much more. So thank you so much for watching. And until next time, make sure to keep those eyes on the screen.